Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, I actually finally found a gas tank for the Civic. I've been looking for one for the longest time. It's been really hard to find one with little to no rust. A local wreckers actually had one in stock, so I just couldn't pass it up, especially with how good condition this one is. So let's take a look at it. So obviously, other than just being dirty and a little bit of rust development on the ends here, very small, just pretty much surface. I paid 80 bucks for this in comparison to the one that I have on the outside of my house that came with the Honda here. It's 1,000 times better. Excited to see how this turns out. I'm gonna wipe it down with some solvent, kind of expose any blemishes that I may have to repair if there is any other rust areas, but I don't think I'm gonna have too much trouble with this one. Alright, so this is for step one. I really just wanted to kind of clean up that thick layer of grease and debris and dirt and everything that was on top of the tank before I took anything off. I didn't want to get any material on the inside of the tank, so this is just step one. From what I see here after doing this cleanup, it is in very good shape. There is no rust anywhere here other than just these small little areas on the outside, but I'm just going to scuff those up a little bit and then probably just use some leftover POR 15. And this tank actually really doesn't need a full restoration. Continuing on cleaning, I've gone ahead and also cleaned up the sending unit as well as the vent evaporator. I believe that's what it is. I cleaned that up as well and reassembled that all. Yeah, it's coming out pretty good so far. As well with that gas tank, I am not like just cleaning off all that grease that was there. That was like an undercoating oil, which I'm going to reapply before I install it back onto the Honda. Alright, so the next thing I want to work on is actually getting that stuff that I just unboxed in the video, the radiator and the fan installed inside the Honda. Basically, I have to take off the front end just to give myself a little bit more working space and not worry about scratching anything. But one thing I do have to mention is the potential issue on the slave cylinder nipple may interfere with the fan or one of the fins on the fan. We'll see. I did get a slim fan. It does measure at 2.5 inches, and that is a dual core radiator, so it is a little bit thicker. It's like a 1 3/4 inch thick radiator. I'm gonna kind of just test fit it in there and see if I'm having any issues. The mounts on the bottom, I may have to just do something differently to kind of push that radiator a little bit more forward to give myself some clearance so that slave cylinder nipple doesn't interfere with one of the fans inside the fan. First thing first, I'm gonna take off, or actually just move these out of the way here so we can have a little bit better working space in here. Alright, so the radiator is just kind of seated inside the bottom mounts. No rubber pieces on the bottom. I honestly can't find those pieces. The clearance between this nipple and the radiator is a little tight that I don't know if the fan is going to fit there nicely, but I'm going to just test it out right now and see. Let's see if this fits. Oh, it still does. Alright, so now that the radiator actually fits in, the bottom mounts, I'm actually going to have to do something different since I can't find the existing mounts that I have. But I do have like a horse mat here behind. I'm going to cut out some smaller circles, fit them in there, and then where the pin is, or the mounting position on the radiator, I'm actually going to drill the hole on this little circle that I'm going to cut out with the horse mat a little bit more forward so it can sit further to the bumper to give myself that clearance, because if it was to sit exactly dead center on that old rubber mount, it would definitely obstruct that that nipple on that slave cylinder. Other than that, I do actually have to redo this bracket. This one has a snapped bolt in here. I'll cut that out, or I'll drill that out, re-tap that so I can get something, and just mock up a little small bracket here because the old one was pretty rusted too. So this is good news though. So here's what I'm talking about. I actually used these to hold up the car at one point. They're just a nice rubber mat. I just took a cap that actually fits perfectly inside that opening. Just gonna draw it on there, cut it out, and make 2 of them. And 2 pieces, looking nice and even. They fit perfectly. Alright, with them both in now, I'm going to go ahead and measure the distance between the 2 mounting points on the radiator, make the markings on each of those, drill the hole through, and hopefully we have good positioning with the radiator. 13 inches between the 2 measurements, made a little white dot, and I'm going to drill this out. Radiator is kind of just sitting there. Check out if the fan has clearance. I think it does. Oh yeah. So the fan has clearance. That slave cylinder just touches the back end of the fan but doesn't impede the fins inside. So what I'm going to do is actually just put this in here, kind of line it up with a marker, because I'm going to put these like zip ties that mount on it, because there isn't going to be a shroud or anything on that. Alright, so the fan right now is in the correct position of where it's going to be. The kit that I actually got here has all the hardware included with it, and these are basically like a nylon bolt. It's going to feed through, and then there's these little push nuts that I have that'll go on the other side that'll lock it in and hold this in place. It did come with these little 4 hardware pieces here just to make the mounting a little bit easier for this, as these holes right here just won't fit properly with the head of this little nylon bolt. I'm going to mark the 4 holes with a marker, and then just feed, as the instructions say, a screwdriver very small all the way through, and then I'll just start attaching this, and hopefully this will be it. And the easiest thing to use is a very small little flathead. Kind of just feed it through in between and just jiggle out the opening. Next, I got something just to kind of raise it off a little bit so I can feed the zip tie through and grab it from underneath. Grab your fan, line it up over the holes that you made, feed the zip tie through it. That's one. That's one nicely. That's 2. 3. Now, I want to flip this. Like that. That's 1. There we go. Give them a nice tighten. Next thing we're going to do is cut this. It says in the instructions to leave a 1/4 inch. We'll do that. It's probably closer to like a 1/2 inch, but and there we go. That's it. Aesthetically, it's maybe not the coolest looking thing, but it doesn't matter. It's a universal kit. No one's really gonna see this. And if I do plan on boosting it, eventually you'll see just a intercooler in front of it, basically. Not completely, but hiding it. Here's the clearance. It's pretty tight. The motor would have to move quite a bit for it to actually go inside and maybe clip one of the fans. But I think we're gonna be okay with clearance. But it's pretty tight in there. One thing I noticed, the lower hose is okay, but the top hose or the upper hose, the existing hose cannot be used. I'll have to replace it. I'm gonna try and find one of those flexible hoses in here, and that should cover that issue right there. I still got to put the reservoir in there for the overflow and get that hooked up. But first, I'm gonna drill out this rusted out bolt and just rethread a new opening. Alright, that'll work. Alright, so there's just what I mocked up here, and test this out. After this I can make it look a lot nicer. There's the radiator in the front end. You really don't see those, like those plastic push nuts that much really, that it's ugly or anything. I'm pretty happy with how things turned out. This bracket, I'm probably going to figure something out differently because I'm not too happy with the fact that there's like no rubber around here to kind of protect against vibration. I feel like over time this might crack and then ruin the radiator, so got to figure something out differently on that. But other than that, it's going to be it. As always, guys, thank you for watching today's episode. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next episode of Garage SpeCivic.